Hey, what's up everyone? It's me, Robert, and today I'm going to be reviewing another vintage film camera, and today I have for you the Fujica Six. So let's take a look at this camera. It is a medium format film camera that was produced in the late 40s to early 50s. The focal length on the lens is not available online. I looked for the manuals, I looked for other stuff, and I couldn't find it, but it's close to 50 millimeter in terms of your focal length compared to other cameras I've used. That's my estimation. So it is not a rangefinder, it is not an SLR, and if you look right here you can see that this is going to extend and retract the lens, and if you look closely on here you can see that it says how many feet you're at right here, and that's going to let you know about how close you are to your subject. There's another guy right here, this little smaller guy, and that is your aperture, and I can go from 3.5 to 22 right here, 3.5 to 22. And on the barrel here, if you want to call this a lens barrel, is your shutter. So I can go from bulb right here, from bulb all the way to 500. And it has a Seiko shutter, Seiko Rapid, and it has a Fujinar lens with, like I said, up to 3.5 for your largest aperture, which is not bad. It definitely actually would, if you're using like an ISO 400 film, even indoors, if you are using, I would say around a 20. This is a 25 shutter speed and shoot at 3.5. You could shoot indoors with no flash, maybe. Depending on how, your subject and everything, your hands, we all know about that. But yeah, so one of the interesting things is weird shutter speeds. It goes 1/2 a second, 1/5 of a second, 1/10, 125, 150, 100, and 250 to 500. Now usually 250, 500, that's usually pretty common on the shutter speeds here, but like 150 and 125, usually I would have 1/60th of a second, 1/30th of a second. So when you're using a light meter, a lot of the times those aren't written, like 1/25th of a second and 1/50th of a second. It's just not written on a lot of other stuff. So you've got to do some estimation into what will give you the correct exposure. And so, like I said, you've got to use a light meter. There's no built-in light meter on this guy. So you've got to know your stuff in terms of how to use a light meter, which is not that difficult. If you've never used one, it's not very hard to figure out. Here is the viewfinder. It's tiny viewfinder. I guess you can't really see it, but it's a tiny viewfinder, and it doesn't really allow you to compose that well. So pretty much you just look off in the distance and be like, yeah, I kind of want that shot in general, and that's what you're gonna get out of it. Other than that, it does have some cool features. Let's take a look at this. This is how you cock the shutter. You go like that, and then here's the shutter right here. Boom, and then it gets stuck because it's really old, but there we go. Boom. You gotta warm this guy up. It's a 60-year-old camera, so don't expect everything to work perfectly on it. But look, you can see it, it's working. Other than that, we have a PC sync, and we also have a shutter release cable input right here. One thing to note about the PC sync is that it's a very narrow place to put your flash. So you have to have a flash that's pretty compact. You can find these old sun packs for really cheap. I got this one for $5 with a flash case, with a power adapter, and it has a built-in PC sync cable, which is really handy because you're never gonna lose it. And just throw it into here. Oh, and it goes off when you're putting it in. But just cock the shutter one more time. My flash is warming up. It's making that cool sound. Can you hear it? Okay. Then boom. There we go. And once again, you can do it with the shutter release as well. So cock the shutter, throw it into here. Boom. Now you can look like the coolest old-timey hipster around. Walk around taking pictures of people like this. And people will think you're a freak. And it's awesome. Because you kind of are. At least I am. Other than that, what do I have to say about this camera? So, you know, medium format. It's cool. It's cheap now. I was never really into medium format when I was young because it was really expensive. Like, the first decent camera I had was a Canon AE1 way back in the day. And, of course, that's a great camera. It's not bad at all. But it's not medium format, and I didn't really know the benefits of medium format, like blowing things up really well and getting other, how should I say, different sizes of photos, like a 6x7, a 6x9, 6x6. All I knew was standard 35mm, like this is what you get, which is fine. It wasn't a big deal. But one of the best things I would say about this camera is take a look at the size. I don't know if I have anything to compare it with lying around at the moment, but just look at it in my hand, compare this to like any other medium format camera, and wow, that's really small compared to like a Hasselblad, a Veronica, or Mamiya, or anything like that. It's really small, and what that means is I can take it anywhere with me and shoot really cool medium format photos anywhere. And since it's not that expensive, I don't really have to worry about it as much as I would like with my Mamiya and stuff like that. Like my Mamiya, I pretty much use that like for a very specific purpose. This I can take around with me like I would like any other pocket camera I have, like a Canon rangefinder or something like that. Just throw it in my pocket, I'm good to go, which is awesome. So if you get lucky, you're gonna find it with this case. Super classy old case. It says Fujica 6. See the emblem here? It has the Mount Fuji right there. Mount Fuji, isn't that cool? And the Made in Japan emblem in the back. And this is a little nut that goes in the bottom right here. So you just throw this and that screws into your camera, and then ta-da, it's there forever. So you can keep your camera in here while you're shooting. I don't like to. I think it's a little cumbersome, but it's nice to have something to run around with. It's funny, it has this old red guys right here, which are supposed to let you count, but I can't see anything through them, so I pretty much just keep this closed at all times, because I mean, I don't think you can get a light leak with these, but why would you want to risk it? Other than that, I covered everything I wanted to say about this camera. It's really sharp. That's one thing I was really surprised about. Usually SLRs, rangefinders, you know when you're in focus, you know when you focused it, and you're like, alright, I got it. This one you're like, basically like I said earlier, all you do is set the distance here, and you're like, okay, is it about 4 feet away? Is it about, 10 feet away? And you just set it like that, which is kind of a pain. However, I did come up with a kind of ingenious idea to make these a little bit more usable for me. I took another rangefinder camera with me. I was using just like a Minolta 7, I think I was using. And I just focused with what I wanted to focus with the Minolta first. I had no filament. I just focused with the Minolta and was like, okay, I looked in the lens barrel and it's like 7 feet. So I'm like, alright, well, if it's 7 feet, I'll just set it on 7 feet here as well, and then I'll know as close as I can that it will be in focus. One of the other things I would say to keep in mind with this is that pretty much the larger the aperture you shoot with, the smaller the depth of field you're going to get. And so since this is kind of a bit of a, not exact science with focusing, I would say shooting with an aperture smaller than 8 is a good way to make sure that whatever you're shooting stays in focus. One other thing I would want to say is that with medium format, I don't shoot a lot of moving subjects. It's just not really conducive to the format, and so I shoot a lot of landscapes, and so 90% of my shots I'm shooting at infinite, which how are you going to be out of focus with infinite? So it's not a big deal. I guess that's it. This video got about 10 minutes long already. I'm gonna throw a couple photos at the end of this video so you can see some of my final photos I got out with it. I've only shot 2 rolls with this, so don't act like I know what I'm doing with this camera yet. I'm still a novice with it. Because like I said, it's pretty quirky, but I got some interesting shots out of it. I think I had some light leaks with some of them, but I actually produced some interesting images with them. So you be the judge. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.